Algebra 1, Lesson 25, Solutions of Equations. So now we're doing full equations like these. We've got fractions, decimals, and then we've got a coefficient to x, and then we also have a number being added to it. So let's start with A. Now, the rules are the same. We just add one extra rule on here, which is when it comes to moving numbers to get x all alone, we're going to use PEMDAS backwards. So whereas normally we would deal with the multiplication first, we're going to go backwards, and we're going to deal with the addition and the subtraction first. So the first number we have to move is this minus 3 over 10, because we want to get x all by itself so we can find out what it is. So we'll go ahead and draw our line to separate our equation. If I'm subtracting 3 over 10, I'll do the opposite action and add it to each side. That will cancel, and then I get 2/5 x on this side. From here, 1 over 2 plus 3 over 10. We have to multiply 1 over 2 by 5 over 5. That gives us 5 over 10 plus 3 over 10, which equals 8 over 10. So then we have that all of that equals 8 over 10. From here, we have to get rid of this coefficient, so we're going to use the multiplication rule and multiply by the inverse of 5 over 2. That will cross cancel, so all we have is x on this side, and then we multiply this side by 5 over 2. Before we multiply, we should be able to see we can cross cancel. 2 and 8 will become 1 and 4. 5 and 10 will become 1 and 2. So then we get 4 over 2. So x is going to equal 4 over 2, but this can also be reduced. 2 goes into 4 2 times. So x equals 2 over 1, or x equals 2. And that's our answer. So remember, same rules, but when we have multiplication and addition, we're going to use PEMDAS backwards, and we start with the addition or subtraction. Now, let's do the same thing in B, but we have a mixed number. Again, we're going to draw our line, and we're going to do PEMDAS backwards. We're going to start with the addition first. We're going to subtract 3 over 7 from each side. So that's going to cancel. And then we get, and then we want to turn this mixed number into an improper fraction. So 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So we get 9 over 4x is going to equal 15 over 14 minus 3 over 7. Multiply this by 2 over 2 to make it like terms. So then we have 15 over 14 minus 6 over 14. Or I'm sorry, 5 over 14 minus 6 over 14. 5 plus negative 6 is going to give us negative 1 over 14. So 9 over 4x equals negative 1 over 14. From here, we multiply by the reciprocal, or the inverse, so 4 over 9. And then we multiply by 4 over 9. 4 and 14 can cancel by 2. 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 goes into 14 7 times. 1 times 2 is 2. 7 times 9 is 63. And then we add our negative. Negative times a positive is a negative. So we get x equals negative 2 over 63. And that's our final answer. Now, equations with decimals. And then they're also going to start putting things out of order. We'll see in this equation the x is all the way over here. And then we also have some decimal numbers to deal with. Now, the best way to deal with decimals is to multiply every single number in the equation by however many decimal places you have. So this has a decimal place of tenths. This has a decimal place of tenths. So we'll multiply the entire equation by 10. So when we multiply 1.2 by 10, we get 12. 1.4 times 10 gives us negative 14. And 20 times 10 gives us 200. So now we've got whole numbers. This is a lot easier to deal with than the decimal numbers. And then we'll go ahead and go to our rules. Now, it's a little bit backwards, but that's okay. Our rule still stays the same. We'll draw our line for the middle. We're going to start with the addition first. So the opposite of negative 14 is positive 14. I'll add 14 to each side. That cancels. That becomes 26. And then we still have 200x on this side. So 26 equals 200x. We divide by 200 to get x. And then 26 and 200 can be divided by 2. 2 goes into 26 13 times, and 2 goes into 200 100 times. So all we're left with is x equals 13 over 100. And that's our final answer. Now, D. same thing. We got decimals, but here our highest decimal place is 2 places. So I'm going to multiply every number by 100 this time. So 0.7 times 100 gives me 70. So I'm going to have 70 times x minus 40 equals 16. And then we go ahead and use our same rules. Start with the subtraction. We add 40 to each side. And we get 70x on this side, and then 16 and 40 gives us 56. Divide each side by 70. 56 over, and then we're going to get x equals 56 over 70, which are actually both divisible by 7. 7 times 8 equals 56. 7 times 10 equals 70. And then 8 and 10 will reduce into 4 and 5 if we divide by 2. So x equals 4 over 5.